Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the very first show on the Coast to Coast Entertainment Network. And you know what? We have a very, very special show for you because this is not like your typical network to where people come on and think that all we're going to do is talk about sports. No, that's not what we're doing on this network. We got a wide variety of topics. So to start you off, the first episode that we have is actually about movies. So before we jump into that, I'm going to go ahead and introduce to you who we have with us tonight. And so, very first off, welcome in Mr. Chris Casanova. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much for having me on the show. I'm super excited. So we're ready to get this going.
All right. And then, of course, going the other way, you know him from Between the Ropes. He goes by Dragon Viper. How you doing tonight?
Doing good. How's everyone doing tonight?
Oh, you know what? Fantastic. I am so excited about our very first episode here. So to go ahead and get this thing started, I figured, you know what? We talk about who our favorite actors and actresses are. So, Chris, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to start with you. So let's go ahead and start on the actor side. Do you really have a favorite actor, so to say?
Not really. I have a couple. I'll just name a few. Sylvester Stallone was one of my favorite actors. Robert De Niro. I'll even throw Ben Stiller in there as well. He's extremely hilarious. But I think Stallone's acting is very, very underrated, especially with the original Rocky that he made. He had no money. He basically, first Academy Award. It was amazing. One of his first movies, and played such a powerful actor. And I think anything that he does, he really, involves the character. Robert De Niro, classic. I can't name them all. Godfather. Name him. He can do anything. Put a guy in any movie, and he can act away. Just one of the greatest actors ever. And then of course Ben Stiller. What movie isn't funny with him? So those are some of my favorite actors.
All right. How about you, Dragon Viper? Who do you have?
Yeah, I have several myself, but I'm gonna name two. You have Adam Sandler. I'm real big with comedy, so Adam Sandler is a real big one with me, as well as Jim Carrey. I grew up on Jim Carrey. I loved watching Jim Carrey movies. So, those are the two main actors I can think of right now. So they're great comedians, and I just love comedy for the most part. So.
All right. So for me personally, when I talk about my favorite actor, I actually do have one favorite actor, and that's actually Daniel Stern. Do you guys know who Daniel? You got to know who Daniel Stern is.
Wow. Yep, Daniel Stern.
That's a good one.
Absolutely right. Because Daniel Stern has been like my favorite forever. I just think his creativeness and all the movies he's in is absolutely magnificent. I'll tell you what, okay, when I watched him in Home Alone, to me personally, I don't think that movie would have been the same without him as part of the Sticky Bandits and the Wet Bandits, so to say it. But Daniel Stern, I'm going to ask you, have you ever watched a movie called Bushwhacked?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Long time ago.
Back in the 90s, right?
Oh, yeah. Back in the 90s. Excellent movie. I loved it.
It's been a while since I've seen it, but I remember some of the scenes from that movie, and didn't get a lot of credit. Didn't get a lot of credit, to be honest.
No, it didn't. And the interesting thing is when you try and find it everywhere else, you can't really find it. You have to pay to actually watch it. And I'm like, it kind of sucks because it's one of those underrated movies that I actually really, really enjoy. But going off of Daniel Stern for a second, of course there are some other actors I like. Adam Sandler, Ben Stiller, comedic guys. I love comedians. They're great. Now, I'm not saying that I don't like other genres of movies, but I'm saying that comedy and horror are probably my two favorite ones. So, Chris, when it comes to you and we talk about the genres of movies, what is your favorite?
Honestly, I'm kind of all around, really, but I love action movies. and I love comedy. I really do. I think those two, and of course, I'm an old school horror fan. And what I mean by that is some of the older stuff, not some of this newer stuff's not that great. But yeah, I would say those three genres are my favorite.
All right, Dragon Viper, how about you?
Yeah, if we're going three here, we're comedy is one. Horror would be my second, just like what Chris said, the old school, like 80s, 90s horror movies. And, action would be my third. So,
yeah. Who doesn't like an action movie? I mean, just an old school, just, Rambo, Commando, Predator, old school movies. I love those action type movies. Just we can sit down and just be in a fantasy and just chill and watch it.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So when we talk about the certain movies that we're going to talk about tonight, the first one is we're going to start out with a little bit of comedy. Who doesn't like those comedy movies that are out there? So we're going to go ahead and we're going to start with the American Pie series, one of the all-time classics. Everybody likes to talk about those. It's the American Pie. So, it's funny, though, because when people talk about the different movies to where they do like one and then they make a second one and then they make a third one, they make a fourth one. The big thing that people always say is they always go, well, the second one and third one are never as good as the first one. But with the American Pie, I mean, it's right there. It's so hard to decide which one is the ultimate, best one. Okay, so Chris, do you actually have a favorite American Pie movie that you watch?
Wow, that's a tough one. So I'll go with the first three. They all have different, unique stories. Okay, so the first one, obviously, they're in high school and it told a pretty good story, and then of course the second one was their college years, and then the third one was their adult years, kind of when they got out of college. And gosh, if I had to really pick one, it's a top. They're pretty close, but I'm going to go with the second one. I think the second one, yeah. I think the second one was really, really good, to be honest. I just think they're very innovative in that second one. They added some things that kind of topped the first one in certain scenes. And so if I'm going to go with one, I'm going to go with the second one.
So Tim Fielder's saying that his favorite one is Bandcamp. Bandcamp. All right. So Dragon Viper, I know you mentioned a little bit about that, but was that your favorite one?
I'd have to go with second on that.
Oh.
Bandcamp was actually my second favorite. The first one, it's hard to decide because most of the American Pie movies were really good. I really liked them, but it comes between American Wedding and American Reunion. I mean, I could actually watch those two, a lot. So, but if I had to choose one, I'd probably say American Wedding, because I like Stifler. I really do, and he seems more, I'll just say more funny than the other ones, and so yeah, I would choose American Wedding if I had to choose one. So
I am right there with you. American Wedding has been one of my all-time favorites. Yes, I love it. And so as you see, my wife actually put in the comment that said her favorite part is when Stifler has to eat the dog poo because he loses the wedding ring and the dog poo, and they're like, I want to see that ring, and he's like, no, it's a chocolate truffle, and she's like, I want it, and yeah, and so he picks it up and eats that. I mean, yeah, obviously when you're watching it, even though it's not dog poo, as you're watching it, though, you can just visualize it and be like, oh, I can only imagine how picking up a piece of dog poo and having to eat that because a wedding ring is in the dog poo.
That aroma, that just when that dog poo, you're just thinking about that. It's like, yeah, I know it's a truffle, but you're like, yeah, if I actually had it happen in real life, it's pretty freaking gross. So yeah, I can. Yeah.
Wait, you had it happen to you in real life?
No, I'm saying if it happened, if I happened in real life, I can imagine, like, oh no. At least not that I know of. Not just kidding, but
yeah. So and when we talk about American Pie, do you guys have a particular, I would say, character that you guys liked on the movie?
Oh yeah.
I think you hit it, man. I think Stifler is my favorite character. He was always in those weird, compromising positions in American Pie, like especially the second one when he had to make out with Jim, and
yeah,
right.
And of course the dog poo in part 3, and then I think it was part 1 too, where I don't know, was he on the lounge chair and they were like the guy was taking a whiz off the side of the balcony or something?
I think that was 2.
I
think that was 2. Yes, I think it was 2.
Okay, it might have been 2. Okay, it was. Yeah, he did something in 1. I can't remember something. Oh wait, he drank the beer. That's what it was. The beer with the
Yes, and he's sitting there in the lounge chair, and the bathroom and the line in the bathroom was really, really long, and so the guy's like, "I gotta pee," and he like pees off the balcony because he thinks he's getting doused in the champagne, and then he knocks the girl out. Yeah, and he starts getting peed on.
But he was always a punchline, You always had that Stifler, and I think he made that movie. I mean, everybody contributed, of course, but I think he was one of the main ones.
Right, you gotta give a lot of hats off to Stifler, because without Stifler, I really don't think you have as good of American Pie as you did, because when you think about the American Pie series of everything, there's kind of that person for everybody. You have the quiet virgin, I guess, so to say, when you talk about Jim at the very beginning when he's nervous and he's like, well, I don't know, and then he's in the bedroom with Nadia and he's he kind of burst.
30 like seconds,
30 seconds in, and he's completely gone. It was awesome.
I got reserves. Wait, hold on.
And then he does it again, and everyone's like, again? He did it twice? No way.
Oh man. Because
there's no way you would think about that it could happen twice. There's just no way. But
not that quick.
No, definitely not that quick. And then of course you have Finch, the guy who doesn't get along with Stifler, the kind of guy in the movie that you're like, man, he's kind of annoying, but
and a weirdo too at the same time.
A weirdo, yeah. But he got Stifler's mom.
3 times, right?
3? Yeah, 3 times.
Yeah,
he got the MILF in the movie, so to say. And so, Randy, or I should say Dragon Viper, do you have a particular favorite character? Because I know that we've been talking about Stifler, but do you like anybody else besides Stifler? Or are you kind of on board with us with the Steve Stifler?
Yeah, I'm totally on board with Steve Stifler. I mean, all the characters made the movie, and that's why they kept bringing them back when they made more. But Stifler is definitely the guy that took a lot of stuff, throughout these movies. And I'm, if I was an actor, I don't honestly think I do half of what he did in those movies. So, yeah, absolutely. He's definitely up there in my number one favorite in those movies.
Well, see, you're talking about some of the things that Stifler's done in the American Pie movies, and then you can even think about when they had the American Pie reunion, right? And he has to go up and take a crap in the guy's coolers, and ruins all their jet skis.
I just saw that the other day, actually.
Oh, reunion?
Yeah.
Yeah. That was one of the parts that I'm like, oh, that's freaking amazing. Like, that is definitely so creative that I don't know. But when it comes to the American Pie series, do you want to see them continue to go? Do you want to see more? And Chris, I'll start with you. Do you think that it needs to end right here? Like their creativeness is finally gone, or there's more to go?
I think it should end. To be honest, I mean, I'm trying to think what else they could really do. I mean, I think the reunion was the last stop for them. I believe everything got resolved. Ostrager got back with Heather, and Stifler found himself, and then Jim, of course, and I forget her name, but Michelle, there you go, got back together again, and we're a stronger relationship. So yeah, I mean, where else can they really go, to be honest? And of course, Stifler, got with Finch's mom at the end, which is kind of cool.
Payback.
But yeah, I don't know where else they could do, to be honest. I mean, unless they all have kids, I guess, and they can do something in that type of thing. But I don't know. I mean, I think it should end.
All right, Dragon Viper, how about you?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it should end. I mean, they had their reunion. They obviously they have their own lives. Jim and Michelle have their own kid. And unless they did one last reunion with all of them having kids, which I don't know what kind of story that would make up, but yeah, I think it needs to end right there, because I feel that if they did any more, it would start to become dull and plotless. So yeah, it should end.
Did you say potless?
Plot.
Oh, I thought you said potless.
No,
I'm like, wait, what are we talking about here?
That went a different direction.
Right? Yeah, that went definitely a different direction. But we do have. So we have like Rob, who's leaving a comment about Finch. You gotta fist yourself, and then you have Tim Fielder, who's saying American Pie gave the high school misfits a chance. And yeah, you know what? It's true when you think about it. It kind of gave them a chance to fit in at school. It really showed how misfits can be at school. So it was great. Overall, the American Pie series I liked, especially 1, 2, and then when you had, American Pie Wedding and then the reunion, all those were great. I wouldn't say that I was the biggest fan of the ones in the middle. I think it was like Band Camp, and then they had Naked Mile.
And Book of Love.
Yeah, and Book of Love. They had that one too. Those were kind of interesting things throughout that I'm like, they were so. I think they could have done without those. But other than that, of the American Pie series, we talked about who our favorite actor was. We talked about our favorite one. Chris, I wanted to surprise you with a topic tonight. I kind of wanted to catch you off guard a little bit. And
all right.
So one of the ones that I want to talk about, because with you have a wrestling career, okay, I wanted to surprise you. So I wanted to kind of talk about a few wrestling movies and talk about what my favorite one is, and I'll see if you agree with it, because I just watched it the other day. But I'll tell you, one of my favorite wrestling movies of all time is none other than Ready to Rumble with David Arquette.
Wow. Okay.
Wow. Did that surprise you?
It yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I figured you would say something like The Wrestler or something. But right, we could talk about Ready to Rumble. Okay.
So no, I liked it. The Wrestler was a good movie. I liked it.
Okay.
It was definitely more realistic. The Wrestler was than the actual Ready to Rumble. But Chris, what was your thoughts of Ready to Rumble?
I mean, I think with David Arquette and everything, I think I'm not going to say it made a mockery of wrestling, but I think it had some pretty good comedy to it, to be honest. I think it brought wrestling at that time. People didn't really know what to think about wrestling, I think. And I think Ready to Rumble kind of added a little spice to it, a little comedy. So I thought it was pretty good. I wouldn't say it was my favorite wrestling movie, but 1 out of 10, I give it about a 5 or so. I give it about 6.
Oh man,
6 or 7 maybe. Yeah, I'll go with that. It was funny though. It was a funny movie.
That's got to hurt a little bit, man. A 5, and that's like one of my all-time favorite. And I understand that movie isn't realistic. I get it, but I just thought it was so funny. And the one part that I really enjoyed about it is how many different wrestlers they actually got to do cameos in the movie and actually appear. You know, because you actually had Goldberg and Sting in the movie.
Exactly.
Macho Man, you know, he did a little part in there. I there was just so many of them that I was like, it was awesome. Now we know, and I don't know where they came up with the whole aspect when you talk about the WCW title to where it can be defended any place, anytime, because I never remember that being a rule.
I don't either, to be honest. Yeah, I don't know where they came up with that, to be honest.
And so, Chris, we actually have a question for you to where they're saying, how close was the wrestler to telling the story of the business?
Wow. Before I answer that question, I'm going to kick it up to about a 6.5. Okay.
Okay.
For Ready to Rumble. Okay.
Thank you.
But I think how they ruined it was with the whole Dave Arquette being the champion WCW, making him and I think they ruined the movie with that, to be honest. I know they probably don't really relate, but they try to kind of like, I don't know, put them together, and it just, I don't know, it didn't really make any sense. It was like, okay, now you're making a mockery of wrestling. It's like, come on, Dave Arquette's the champ. Give me a break. We all know it's fake, but come on. So I think that was my kind of problem with it.
Yeah, no, I feel you, but we know that match at the end that happened, you know, what did they call it? Like the 3 cage of hell or something like that. Now, we know that was actually a legitimate match at one point. Like that actually happened in WCW. So that one was fine. But the actual part of, you know, him sucker punching Diamond Dallas Page in the back from the porter potty, I'm like, okay, we know that would not actually happen. He wouldn't be able to win the WCW title by doing that. And there's no way that, you know, these 2 random guys off the street would be able to be like, oh, I'm his manager, I'm his partner, we're going to go ahead and get in the ring. I don't think that would ever be allowed in the business.
No.
I definitely don't think that would definitely be allowed. And Tim, I'm glad you brought that up with the foreign objects. If you remember when they're in the bedroom, and she raises up her shirt, foreign objects, and he's talking about a bedroom match, and then he spears the guy when he picks up the fire extinguisher. I'm like, yeah, man. So it was, to me, it was comedic, but it was awesome. I loved it. So I'm glad you bumped it up to 6.5.
Well, like I said, it was a funny movie. It did have some comedy to it. So yeah, absolutely. But I mean, getting to Tim's question about the wrestler, as far as the business, pretty accurate, to be honest. I mean, it hasn't personally happened to me as far as his story, but I have known people in my time that similar things have happened as far as losing their family, you know, become addicted to drugs, things like that, not having anywhere to live, just basically your life is gone, you know, 25 years, you're still trying to live in the past and all that. The wrestling business can definitely hurt you. It's, you know, it can hit you out of nowhere. And, if you're not careful, you can get some big trouble. So I think it told a really good story on the lives of professional wrestlers. Pretty darn accurate, in my opinion.
All right, so Dragon Viper, to get your answer about this, okay, we talked about Ready to Rumble, but you didn't really say much about it. So, what was your thoughts on Ready to Rumble?
I actually hadn't seen it.
Oh, wow.
No,
okay. All right. So, do you have a favorite wrestling movie? Because we were talking about Ready to Rumble, but do you have one?
No, I actually would. I'm in between wrestling with my family, with Paige, dealing with Paige.
That's Fighting with My Family.
Oh, Fighting with My Family.
I haven't seen that one.
Oh, really? Wow.
And The Wrestler. And since we're talking about the wrestler, I actually kind of compared that story to somebody like Jake Roberts, because it seems like that's what he's gone through. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I watched Beyond the Mat, and it had his story on there, and that's kind of what I compared, the wrestler to, was kind of to him. So
you're right. It's true. That's a pretty accurate story as far as how Jake's life was in the wrestler.
So, Rob, I like that he put this, because this happened in Ready to Rumble, and I liked it when he talks about, did you say fake? And yes, and when you think about it, though, if you remember when they're training, and the guy's like, well, we all know that wrestling's fake. And then he gives him the elbow, and the guy goes flying across the ring, and he's like, did that feel fake? I like it. But yeah, so there was some incredible incredible wrestling movies out there. Sorry. The Wrestler was good. I like that. We actually had Brandon who said No Holds Barred. I mean,
that's a good one.
Corny, but good.
It was what?
Corny, but good.
Corny, yeah. So to
That's
me,
what it was.
Yeah, it was kind of a corny movie per se, because I don't know how much of that is actually true. When you look at No Holds Barred, it's interesting how when Hulk Hogan is ever in a movie, he is always beating people up in the movie. I never.
Yeah.
I guess that's what he does.
Well, he's Hulk Hogan. I mean, it's like he's the same character in any movie he is. Like in the ring, like he doesn't change up The Rock. Like The Rock can go into different characters, and then like even John Cena can go into different characters. Hulk Hogan's Hulk Hogan. It doesn't matter what movie he's done. He's Hulk Hogan.
Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, it's the same guy. I mean, it's not taking anything away from him, but that's just what he was. That's who he was. And back at that time, I think it was a different era too. And I saw that movie when I was a kid, so I think more of as a fan when I was younger when I saw that movie. So, but yeah, just a different era.
No, I feel you. I just personally, No Holds Barred was actually not one of my favorites on the wrestling side. I've seen it a couple times. Like, I just don't really care about it, but I had to bring this up though, just because you were a former wrestler, and I watched Ready to Rumble the other day, and I'm like, well, I got to ask Chris about this and get his thoughts on it. And then Dragon Viper's a wrestling fan too, so I'm like, okay. I got to throw that out there too. And I'm like, all right, we'll jump into that. But of course, so
I'll tell you what,
yeah,
I will watch Ready to Rumble again, okay? Because I haven't seen it since it first came out, and I'll give it another chance.
Yes, please do. Please give it another chance.
Okay.
And then once you watch it again, message me and tell me, okay, I've now changed it from a 6.5 to a 9. That's what I'm waiting to hear.
Okay. Fair enough. You watch No Holds Barred again, okay?
Okay, I'll watch it again. I'll sleep through it, but I'll watch it.
Okay, there you go. Fair enough.
All right, but the question that I forgot to ask you guys before, so I'll ask now. When we talk about the different genres of movies, comedy, so Dragon Viper, tell me, what are the different genres of movies you actually enjoy?
Well, comedy is the main one I enjoy.
Is that it?
And it's like I said earlier, with my top 3 favorite genres: comedy, action, and horror.
So you like more genres of movies than you actually like wrestlers. Got it. Okay. So now we're going to go up to Chris Casanova. And Chris, what was your favorite genres of movies?
Like growing up or like now?
Just overall, like when you sit down and watch a movie and you're looking through, do you like, well, you know what? I'll watch comedy. I might watch a little horror. I might watch, just the different genres you enjoy.
Okay, fair enough. I'm not going to give you a favor. I think it kind of depends what kind of mood I'm in. So let's just say I had a crazy, long, hectic day, and I just need a freaking laugh. Well, I'm going to put the stupidest, mindless comedy on. Whether it's Anchorman or Dodgeball or something. Something I don't have to really just be
Good movie.
stupid funny, right? It doesn't really make any, it doesn't really make any sense, but it's funny, right?
Absolutely.
So yeah, it's all about mood. And then like if I'm late at night and I'm kind of bored, I'm like, yeah, let's put a nice horror movie on or something. And then I'll go on Netflix and find some, I'll watch some Friday 13th or something. Like the Friday 13th are on. And if they're on, I will watch them. Like if I'm not doing anything, if they're on TV somewhere, I'll be like, oh, okay, I'm going to watch Friday 13th 1 or 2. And if they're like, oh, 3's on too, awesome. Like I'll watch like 2 or 3 in a row. And I don't care if I see them 100 times, but I think for me, it's mood, to be honest. But I'll go action, comedy, and horror kind of.
I completely agree with you on that. I've always said it was more of moods. You have to kind of be in that comedy mood. You have to be in the horror mood. For me though, I'm glad you touched on Dodgeball. I'm like, oh, once I heard that, I'm like, oh, Dodgeball. Yes, Dodgeball. I love me some Dodgeball.
Yeah,
it's one of the all-time greats. You want the donut, don't you, fat boy?
Yeah.
I love it, man.
Eat a chicken like damn Chuck Norris or.
I want spare me. I want the tournament. Freaking Chuck Norris.
Yeah. Like that.
I love it. Oh my gosh! Now you're really bringing it back. You're really bringing it. You have all these movies that are just going through my head now. That I'm like, oh man, I could talk about so many of these movies, and I absolutely love them. But if you're gonna sit, so you touched on Friday the 13th on the horror side. So would you say that that's like your favorite overall horror movies?
Yeah, I would. It's probably a close battle with Friday 13th and Halloween. And when I mean the Halloween movies, I'm not talking about the zombie ones, Rob Zombie, the ones he remade. I'm talking about old school John Carpenter ones, like 1 and 2. 4 and 5, they kind of the story's getting a little far fetched, but I would say between Friday 13th and Halloween, those are my top favorite horror movies, and they're kind of cheesy, but like they're still, in my eyes, are good. They're classics. Like it was one of the, I would say, when people needed horror movies back in the early 80s, like that was it. Like you knew what horror movies were. Friday 13th. Halloween.
No, I feel you. The only Halloween movie that I did not like, I believe it was it was like the Halloween movie that dealt with like the little leprechauns, and they're always like 6 more days till Halloween or something like that. And it was just the strangest thing because it dealt nothing with.
Is that part 3?
I don't know which one. Yes, the Season of the Witch. It was Halloween 3, Season of the Witch, and it made no sense because it was just 6 more days till Halloween. And I'm like, what does this have to do with Mike Myers? This has nothing to do with Mike Myers because it was in that whole little plant thing or whatever that they did. It was always, and I'm like, what does this have to do with Mike Myers? This has nothing to do with anything with Halloween.
That's the one you just forget about. You just kind of like, okay, let's just move on from part 2 to part 4. Like, just skip it. I don't know why the hell they made that, but I think I've seen it once, maybe twice, and it's garbage.
Yeah, absolutely. Dragon Viper, do you have a favorite Halloween or just a favorite horror movie in general? Maybe Mike Myers, Jason Voorhees, Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, I like the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. Because Freddy Krueger is actually my favorite horror character. So, and then second would be Child's Play 1 and 2, and 1 and 2 and 3. Everything after that, Bride of Chucky, Seed of Chucky, whatever, is garbage. But the first 3 Child's Play, I like that. But my number 1 is all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies because I like Freddy Krueger. So,
wow, he's great. Freddy's awesome.
I like it. So, I'm gonna ask you: envision this, okay? This has always been in my head when we talk about horror movies. I'm like, if I had a movie that I could write, there was this movie that always popped in my head that I'm like, I wonder how well this would do. So it starts off, you have, let's say, abandoned town, a deserted town or whatever. And then it shows up and you see Jason walking through the abandoned town and you're and he's walking through and he's like looking around. And then all of a sudden, Mike Myers, he comes walking out. And Jason's looking at Mike Myers and he's like, doing his whole little turn head thing. And he's trying to figure out, exactly what Mike Myers is. So then they start battling. But then you hear 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. And then Freddy comes out. So throughout this whole movie, like as these guys are battling, you're starting to see all these horror films and these different people like Pumpkinhead or maybe Lawnmower Man or whatever, they all start just appearing in the movie. And it ends up just being like this huge battle to where you see which horror guy is overall, who's tops.
I've always wanted to see that. Always.
That sounds like a great movie, man. I would totally watch that, man.
Right, it was just there. It was just there. Like
I've always thought that.
Like, obviously, I'm like, okay, so you take Chucky and you put him against Leprechaun because you're like, okay, realistically, those two should go up against each other to have one of them win.
Like the midget match, right?
Yeah, exactly. But
yeah, there you go.
But if you take like Leprechaun or Chucky and you put him against, let's say, like Jason Voorhees or Michael Myers, I mean, realistically, Chucky has no chance. No chance.
No,
I mean,
done.
Realistically, no. And so that's why I'm like, okay, in the first battle with him, when you first see Chucky, you have him go up against Leprechaun. And so at the end, I mean, realistically, in the end, you're going to probably see Mike Myers versus Freddy versus Jason. When you really think about it, those are like the three most dominant ones in the horror industry. So you're going to see them. And I know you saw Freddy versus Jason before, but what if you added Mike Myers to it?
I would have loved to see that. I would have loved to see it.
Absolutely. They dropped the ball with that, by the way, the Jason versus Freddy. I think they could have continued. They could have continued on. They could have made. It's like, you're teasing me here. Like, you could have kept it going. Like, everybody always wanted to see that.
It ended with like they were going to have a second one, and they never made it.
Right, the wink at the end by Freddy's holding the head. Yeah, I'm like, come on, dude. I was like 17, 18 years ago. I can't remember when it was made, but it's like, gosh, keep it at least another one. But I don't know. We'll get that chance, unfortunately.
But if you guys know any film producers or writers, hook me up. Hook me up, because I've got this movie going on in my head. I'll tell you what, how many horror fans would enjoy that movie? There would be so many of them that would enjoy that.
Oh, absolutely. It's like almost like a battle royal. So is it just a fight, right? Just a big fight, right? Like a brawl. That's pretty much it. Really, no plot, right? Just them fighting. And
just a flat out, fight. And they're just destroying each other throughout the whole movie. And then at the end, of course, you have your final three, and then you have your overall winner, which to me it would be very, very tough. And I think, me personally, I would probably have to pick, I'm going to go with Mike Myers.
Okay.
And that is because when you think about Mike Myers, in my mind, I try to think about what is his weakness. I really couldn't pinpoint a weakness for him. Freddy's weakness is fire. Jason's weakness is water.
Yeah.
What is Mike Myers?
That's true. He really doesn't have anything. You can do to be continued to make a sequel, and they have them. You can stretch this movie out if you want to. After they all eliminate each other, and just say to be continued, like Back to the Future, the to be continued, and then make a part 2.
Well, so Nate's saying that he knows a relative of a camera crew. You know what? Brilliant. If you do, hook me up with somebody, man. I want to get this movie out there. I want to get this rolling. Okay. I definitely want to get and I'll come up with my own cast. Okay, I will. And you know why? Because I'm going to pull some people off the Coast to Coast Network to star in this film. Chris, you are going to be that man known as Jason Voorhees. That is your character right there.
I was him last Halloween. So
there you go.
I really was. So
there you go. I want to get this out. And now what's going to suck is, let's say that this show starts sharing everywhere, right? And then somebody hears this brilliant idea, and then somebody's like, oh, I'm going to write that film. And then next thing you know, you see it, and you're like, you've got to be freaking kidding me. That was my idea, you suckers. Where's my money?
Patent it right now.
Money?
Go right now. Get a patent.
Copyright right there.
Yeah. So Rob is saying that he's like, I'd cut Mike Myers' head off, see if that's his weakness. You can't get close enough to him.
Yeah.
You can't do it. Like,
I bet Rob could, though.
Can you guys think of a weakness of Mike Myers?
I don't. Yeah, I can't. I mean, because they didn't really describe it or even gave us any hint what his weakness was in any of the Halloween movies at all. At least Freddy and Jason, we know what their weaknesses are. Even I think even Pinhead has a weakness.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it is, but I know he does. But yeah, I can't answer that. I don't know.
Yeah, and so that's why when I've always wanted to do a bracketology and, put out there and say, vote on who's the strongest one, I've always ran through my mind that it had to be Mike Myers, just due to the fact that there's no really weakness that you can think about.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
So now, jumping off horror for a second, I'm going to tell you my least favorite genre, and then you guys can tell me your least favorite one. My least favorite one has got to be musicals. It's just something, musicals bug me, man. Like, Sound of Music, I can't stand it. Every time it's on, I'm like, oh, God, please, no. High School Musical, can't stand it. It bugs the crap out of me. So, Chris, do you have like a least favorite that every time you see the genre, you're like, I can't do it. I can't.
What would so I'm probably gonna get some crap here, probably from you guys and Rob for sure. But to the musical, my mom used to make me watch Sound of Music. So as a kid,
no.
Yeah, and I actually kind of liked it when I was a kid, and even as an adult, I haven't watched it in years. But if I watched it on TV, I may watch it. But that's probably the only musical I would really watch, to be honest, is that. Other than that, I'm not a big musical fan, but I guess what's The Notebook? Would that be under romance, I think? The Notebook? Is that what it is?
Oh, my God, The Notebook.
No, that's one of my least. Yeah, I don't know. I don't do those movies.
I think that's a romance. I think that would be under the romantic genre.
Yeah, I think so.
Unless you're married with someone, then you have to go watch it with them at the home. I don't know, but I would put that at the bottom, man. Yeah, musicals and romance. That's kind of mine.
Well, for me, I'll tell you, the reason why I don't like the musicals is because to me, they don't make sense. And the reason why it doesn't make sense is because somebody can be sitting at a piano and be like, hey, guys, I just wrote this song. Do you want to listen to it? And then they start playing it, and then 30 seconds in, they all start singing the song. I'm like, didn't that fool just say he wrote that dang song? He just said he wrote that song. So tell me, how much sense does that make?
None. Well, you didn't watch Grease? That was a musical.
Okay. Let me back it up for a second here, because you got me on that one. You got me on that one because Grease was actually a good movie. Now,
it was.
I could probably recite pretty much word for word on Grease. I know that whole entire movie. Okay, I love Grease. I love Grease. So Grease was one of my favorites. I didn't consider Footloose a musical, but I liked it.
Sure.
Footloose was good. That was a good one.
Mm-hmm.
And let's see. So Rob saying, yeah, he does. Everyone know the words. Exactly. Because I think everybody out there, if you live in America and watch Grease, probably everybody knows the words to Grease.
Oh, yeah, I mean, for sure.
Everybody does. Everybody could probably tell you almost every single song in Grease.
Yeah.
That's just one of the movies that you're like, okay, it's so famous out there. If I run into somebody and we're talking about movies and I'm like, oh, have you watched Grease? They go, no. I'm like, what? Like, are you really from America? You've never seen Grease. You've never seen it.
Who hasn't seen Grease? Jeez.
Oh man, that's absolutely craziness about Grease. Randy, how about you?
Besides, Grease, I have to agree. Musicals are the least that I watch that I like. So
Grease, well,
I grew up with it. My mom loved it, so I mean, I grew up with it. But other than that, yeah, not a real big fan on musicals at all.
and Brandon, to answer your question here, okay, old school Footloose versus the new school one, it's not even close. The old school one with Kevin Bacon is the best Footloose out there. This new one, I don't like it. Okay, it's not. It doesn't even resemble. I just, oh god, it just drives me. What bugs me the most sometimes about the industry of movies is they take a perfectly good movie, and they go, this movie was great in the box office. It was completely great, and they go, you know what? We haven't done that one in a while. Let's redo it. And then they redo it, and it's a major flop, and you're like, man, you just butchered the crap out of that thing.
I think they're running out of ideas, though, man. Like I think that's why they remake. Like, what can we make? Well, let's just redo this one.
Yeah, like, they are running out of ideas. I mean, look at all the Disney cartoon movies that they're putting into real life action, and
yeah,
I mean, they're running out of ideas.
Hey, I'm not disagreeing with that in any way, because before, Chris, you had talked about, how The Rock can make, every character out there. He can be funny, he can be serious, he can do this. But I don't know if you've seen that they were trying to do a real life Bambi with The Rock playing Bambi.
What?
I haven't heard. Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what? I think he can pull it off.
You really think he can pull it off?
Hell yes, he can pull it off. I think he can. It might be funny, hysterical, but you know what? He can. If they can pull it off, The Rock can do it. It'll be funny, at least.
I like his movies, but I don't know if I could watch that. I don't think I could watch it. You see him in a deer outfit with his little horns, and he's running through the forest, and
wouldn't be able to watch it with a straight face anyway.
No, you could.
A couple drinks, man.
there was no way you could. And they're saying, so Chris is saying that you could be John Travolta.
I could John Travolta, Danny Zuko. Okay.
But you got to dance like him, and you have to sing like him.
Okay. Well, if I could do the dancing, singing might need a little work, maybe.
Oh, can you sing like Danny? No. I was going to have you bust one out right here.
No. We won't get ratings, man. We're going to lose them.
So I was asked to bring this up. So I'm going to bring this up since we have 10 minutes left. I don't know why I was asked to bring it up, but I'm doing it anyway.
Okay.
Chris, Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh, great movie. Great movie. Yeah.
So explain to me why I was told to bring this up. I thought that once I mentioned it, you might be like, gosh dang, that stupid movie or something like that. But no, it looks like you actually really enjoyed that movie.
Yeah, I'm sure Rob told you to bring it up. That movie just that's honestly one of Clooney's best movies in my opinion. Is from Dusk Till Dawn. Like, I think he played a freaking character that was just freaking badass, and I think from beginning to end, that movie was just freaking great. I mean, just the lines in there. I mean, yeah, for a couple mean motor scooters, like that. I mean, like
mean motor scooters.
yeah, like just as Harvey Keitel. I mean, gosh, I can watch that movie right now. Like, it's probably one of my top 5 movies of all time.
So is this one of those movies, because people have their specific movies that once they watch it, they're like, I can sit down and watch it again right after. Is this one of those movies that you're like, oh, I can just watch it over and over and over again?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. Just from start to finish, I can watch them back to back if I need to. The other two weren't so good, part 2 and part 3. I know they made two other ones, but yeah, that original one was awesome. Keitel, Quentin Tarantino, Clooney. I mean, Juliette Lewis was in there. She played a great part in that movie. So yeah, awesome.
I must say, I guess in a way, I'm glad you liked the movie, but I guess I must say I'm a little disappointed because I thought I was going to get like this huge reaction out of you because Rob was like, bring it up. And I'm like, okay, so if I bring it up, I'm going to get this huge reaction. and I was like, okay, maybe that's not what I was expecting, but I'm glad you enjoyed the movie. I don't know. I was like, okay, I'll do it just to see the reaction I get.
I'll throw a little something in there, and I got a few minutes left. There is a scene in there when they're in the Rob's gonna love this. He'll appreciate this. Where they're in that strip club and they're drinking, and he's taking the shots of tequila and he's slamming the thing down like that. So there was a little thing. Rob and I were at a club, and I was drunk as hell, man. And I was having a terrible day that day, and I was literally doing that, like slam the thing down like that after every shot, and we're taking Patron shots. Anyhow, I don't want to get into all the details of the story. I'll fast forward, but it involves some bouncers, right?
Oh wow!
And there's probably a part in that movie where that guy puts his hand on George Clooney like that, and he says, "Get your hand off me." He stands up like that. That's basically what happened with me and the bouncer. We just stood up like that, and I turn around and there's like 7 or 8 bouncers right there, like just ready to take Rob and I on. Rob had to get me out of the club, but yeah, little reenactment scene of From Dusk Till Dawn from that. So
you know what makes me think of when you're talking about that? It makes me think of Roadhouse. And Roadhouse, okay.
That's a great movie.
And let me tell you, that is a movie that I probably know every part from, and the wife freaking hates it. And the reason why she hates it is because every time it's on TV, I'm like, oh, it's Roadhouse. And she was like, you just watched that 3 hours ago on a different channel. I'm like, I don't care. It's on. I'm watching it. It's Roadhouse. And it drives her nuts. So for a while, she was like, okay, we have to ban you for a while from watching Roadhouse because that's like the only thing you're watching is Roadhouse.
That's a great movie, dude. Yeah. Sam Elliott and who's Swayze was Dalton. Yeah, that's a great movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great overall movie.
Mm-hmm.
I actually like a few of the quotes that they use in there. When he starts saying, be nice until it's time not to be nice. And then
when's that?
Yeah. When's that? Well, what if they call my mom a whore? Well, is she? It's really I love that. And now Rob is disappointed because he wasn't on here to tell that story that you were telling about the Dusk Till Dawn reenactment. So
he tells it a lot better than I do. I'm going to be honest. So if we need to tell it on Wrestle Shoot or another show, yeah, he's a better storyteller than I am sometimes.
So you're saying he could have told it a lot better?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'll admit it.
So I have to know, did you get thrown out of the bar?
No, Rob had to take me out of the bar.
Okay, so Rob had to take you out. Okay, so it wasn't like they had 8 bouncers and you were drunk in the bar, but then you ended up drunk in public because they threw you outside to be drunk in public.
Let's just say if Rob didn't get me out of the bar, there would have been a straight brawl, basically.
A straight brawl.
There was, seriously. And basically what it came down to, Rob says, we'll leave unless you guys need to throw down, but I guarantee you at least 3 or 4 of you are going down real hard. So, and that's what he told the bouncers. But he tells a story better than I can. So we need to get a little another meeting or another show to continue that, because it's about a 10-15 minute story. I was just trying to condense it down a little bit.
No, it's all good. But
yeah,
it also reminds, because when you think about the Ron White story, when he starts telling it and he's like, well, they had 6 or 7 bouncers. I don't know how many of them it would have taken, but I know how many they were going to use. And so,
Sure.
yeah. And so it's like they had that many. They would have used 7. And then he's like, and then when I started getting that ticket for being drunk in public, he's like, hey, I wasn't drunk in public. I didn't want to be drunk out here. I wanted to be drunk in there. And they threw me in public, which made me drunk in public. So tell me exactly which when you think about it, it's true. Hey, I was drunk in there. I wasn't drunk outside.
Yeah.
They're the ones who threw me outside. Why? What the heck you arrested me? Arrest them because it was on them.
No, that's that story probably goes on probably the next couple hours that night. There's other things that happened. So yeah, we'll have to get to that in another
definitely
time.
Reconvene on that story because I am definitely interested now.
I am too.
Okay. We'll talk about I'll tell you what, we'll talk about on Wrestle Shoot.
Yes, please talk about it because I want to know, why he had to take you out and, everything else before you were going to get beat out. Because you said that there's so much in between and it could stretch out so much that I'm like, I have to know. I have to freaking know this because this sounds like such a good story. I don't have any stories like that, okay? I don't have any stories about, being carried out of a bar or whatever, almost getting in a fight in a bar. No, I don't have any good stories like that. But you guys do. You guys do. And it's disappointing. I guess I just lived this boring old life that, people ask me and I'm like, I'm sorry, guys. I can't tell you any good stories. I can't.
And I'm mild compared to most, man. That's a rare for me. I mean, I'm typically not like that, but yeah.
I really think the only story that I would have about the drinking story like that would be not really having me and it was actually Mess Around Dave. Okay, we were actually drinking at the casino, and we got really, really drunk at the Mill Casino. It was like 2 or 3 in the morning, and they're like, "Oh, it's time to go. The bar's closed now." And I'm like, "All right, fine." I was like, "Okay, fine." So the thing is our ride had already left because we had stayed to drink, and so we're like, "Oh, dude," we're like, "We live like 3 miles away." We're like, "What in the heck are we gonna do?" And so and I couldn't drive, and so I'm like, dude. I was like, screw it. I guess we are walking. So we start walking on this main road. And this whole time, we're just screwing with each other really, really, really bad. I push him into briars, and he's trying to push me in the street, and cars are coming by and honking. And I thought a cop was like pulling up because I'm like, oh, dude, there's a car that's like pulling up. What the heck is going on? Well, we thought about actually running at that point, but then I turned around. And I saw this look on this person's face, and their eyes were just super wide. And I'm like, who is that? I turned around, I'm like, oh, crap, it's my mom. So my mom had pulled up. She had just gotten off work, and she pulled up, and she was not very happy.
I can imagine not.
Yeah. She was not very happy at all. It was it was the look. You're like, oh, crap, it's my mom. But
hey, sometimes moms are crazy, man. Don't get them mad.
Yeah, and it didn't matter that I was 22 or 23. You still get the whole lecture about it. So I ended up getting the whole lecture. What are you doing? Why are you trying to walk home when you're super drunk? You're walking aside of the. I don't know. Yeah, just one of those. But we're at that point now to where we have a minute left to go in the show. So now, Chris, I'm going to give you 30 seconds to say whatever it is you want to say. Any remaining things?
Oh man, I feel like I've been talking time, but no, it was fun to be on the show. I would love to come back on and definitely talk more movies and other crazy stories. And anybody wants to check out Wrestle Shoot, we'll be on Tuesday, 7:30. So, and we'll have Marty Jannetty on the show. So we're looking forward to that. Come here Rob and I talk to Marty Jannetty.
I love it. All right, Dragon Viper, you got 30 seconds.
Yeah, I'd like to thank everybody who's watching this. this is fun. This really is fun. We're gonna have Between the Ropes tomorrow night, so just keep watch on that, and I hope everybody has a good night. And I think this is a great start to this network. So,
all right. So tonight we had movie night. I was super excited about that. We got the movie night. I enjoyed it. Thank you, Chris, for being on. Hope to have you on again. We can continue our movie night. Love to have you on whenever you want. Dragon Viper, it was a pleasure. But you forgot to plug in, Dragon Viper. You forgot to plug that tomorrow is actually our trivia. Tomorrow is our trivia. And yes. And so if anybody wants to be part of trivia, hop on there. Because it's not just going to be sports topics. It's just going to be a variety of topics.
What time is that on?
So it'll be, what is it? I think it's like 12 noon Central, I do believe.
Okay.
Are you available?
I'm not, actually. I won't. Darn.
You lost the first round of trivia. Okay. You are the weakest link.
You're out of here.
You are done. You're done. But I want to thank everybody for watching our very first episode on the network. And this was called Movie Night. So you will see this every Saturday night for movie night. And yes, so Brandon did clarify it is tomorrow at noon. So if you have a chance to check out trivia, go ahead. And then, of course, tomorrow night is Between the Ropes. Check that out. So with that, I hope everybody has a fantastic night. And we will see you again next week for another movie night.